What is pacing and how does it work? I've been asked that question a couple times on the channel. People want to know, how do you actually figure out how to pace your novel? And how does it actually work? Because you've got all these things you've got to get in the page. You've got to get the plot. You've got to get the emotional part. You've got to get the characters moving from A to B. You've got to show, not tell. So many things going on. And what about pacing? Pacing is just like what it sounds like. It is the rhythm of the novel. It is how quickly the novel is moving along and keeping the reader glued to the page. The thing about pacing is that you can alter it to fit the mood, to fit the time, to fit the genre. My number one tip is to use the length of your sentences to accomplish your pacing goals. So like a really emotional book might have a slower pacing because you want to bring the reader along this leisurely emotional journey. And a suspense novel or a thriller will have a very fast pacing because you want that reader to constantly feel like they're in a Mission Impossible movie. So you really want to look at what genre you're writing and what kind of mood you want to get across from the reader. Now in the Show Not Tell video, I talked about the staccato of sentences and how really short sentences in a row can give the reader this feeling of things going fast, because it's like a heartbeat. Every time they see a period and then another sentence starts. And then when you have a long drawn out sentence, sometimes it can just kind of draw out the feeling. So they're calming down a little bit. You can use the length of your sentences to manipulate your pacing. So short staccato sentences make the reader feel like everything's moving faster. If you look at, say, a Robert Parker novel, he has a lot of very short sentences because he wants the reader to keep moving and moving and moving. If you really want the reader to just kind of like be on the edge of their seat, sometimes you can draw it out and make it last a really long time, like a Stephen King novel. If you want it to be a really nice emotional novel, then you can also have nice long sentences, like say maybe a Nora Roberts novel. Whatever your goal is, use that length of your sentences to accomplish it. You want to vary the length of your sentences. You don't want every single sentence to have 5 words or 11 words or 15 words, because then the reader gets into this pattern of boom, 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 boom. And you do that for 500 pages and it gets kind of boring. So you definitely want to give the reader some variety. And what you want to look at is something I talk about a lot: white space. How much white space is on your pages? And how much of a mental break are you giving your reader? Because that's what white space does. It tells the reader, okay, I can take a breath here, and then I'm going to move on to the next topic and the next. When you read books that are really, really dense with a lot of words on the page, and maybe there's no paragraph breaks on this whole page, it feels like a lot. It may not be a lot. The words could be small words, not big words. It doesn't matter. To the reader, visually, it feels like they've got a lot of words to digest. So the white space and the variation in it, because see, I've got longer ones and shorter ones, that helps the reader feel like there is not a regular, predictable pattern. It keeps the reader a little bit more on the edge of their seat. The other thing you want with pacing is a natural progression of events. This is something we talk about in the masterminds, because sometimes we're so busy getting all the other stuff on the page that we forget what the character should actually be doing. So if you have a character that's solving a crime, he naturally has to do all of those steps of examining the evidence, interviewing the witnesses, going to the crime scene, all of those things. So the natural progression of events have to continue along with the pacing. If your character spends way too long in one part of the book, the reader's going to be like, okay, come on, let's go. Let's start moving on to this next thing. There's a bad guy out there waiting to kill you. Let's not sit here and have a 5-course meal. Those are the kinds of things that make a reader close the book, walk away, and say, I'm not going to give this book another chance. Number 3, this is something I talked about in the Show Not Tell video as well. You don't want to get so in love with your words that you have pages and pages of beautiful words. Now, trust me, I love beautiful words just as much as the next person, but you have to look at what's going on in your scene, and that's what helps keep your pacing moving right. If 2 characters are talking, you can't have 3-4 pages of description, because the other character is just standing there watching your character think. And if you stand with another person and you just watch them think, how long do you think it's going to be before you're like, are you okay? Like, what are you thinking about? So that's not going to happen for very long in a book. That's what I mean about kind of keeping things moving along with a natural progression. So when you show too much, when you have too many beautiful paragraphs of lovely language to really engage your reader's emotion, you can also slow down your pacing. So the best bet is to work it in between dialogue and between actions so that the character is moving and doing stuff just like the rest of us normally do. The final tip is about when to speed up your pacing and when to slow it down. That comes back to what your goals are for the scene that you're writing. Do you want the reader to be really on the edge of their seat, really worried about the character? Then you might want to really speed up the pacing, because you're going to have one bad thing after another happening to the character, and it's going to feel like a barrage of things, sort of like in Mission Impossible, where a lot of things are happening to Tom Cruise and he's outrunning the bad guys and he's trying to get away. That's when you want to speed up your pacing. When you have a moment where you want your character to really come through with expressing their emotions or sharing a secret or really getting close to another character, that's when you want to kind of slow it down, as we would naturally. Generally, we don't just blurt out our history, we kind of tell it in little pieces to the other person. And so you want to take the time to respect and honor your character's story and give it some space on the page to breathe. It also gives the reader some time to absorb it and gives the other character time to absorb it. So if your character has a big secret or a big emotional thing they want to share, don't rush it. Let it move in with the natural order of things, where the character talks a little, maybe gets up and gets a drink, talks a little more, stokes the fire, talks a little more, the other character reacts. All of those things that would happen in life. So how do you figure out the right pacing for your novel? The best tip I have for that is to read a lot of books in your genre that you're writing, because you will develop an innate sense of the pacing for that genre. Try to read a wide variety of authors so that you get a wide variety of feels. And eventually, the more you read, the more those instincts happen. For more on that, I would recommend downloading my highlighter method of learning to plot, which is a whole little ebook I created that tells you how to analyze other books and then apply those lessons to your books. When I did that, I had like a visual roadmap of what my book should be doing and how pacing worked and everything else. While you're working so hard on that pacing, make sure you have some pretty incredible characters along for the ride. So watch this video on how to create characters that readers love.